Heartwarming moment. Little girl's incredible birthday wish revealed billionaire's life-changing gesture stirs community emotions. In the heart of Maplewood, a small, tight-knit Midwestern town, excitement buzzed like the chatter of bees on a summer-s day. 8-year-old Lucy Thompson was on the cusp of a birthday filled with dreams that danced in her head. Her father, juggling 3 jobs, worked long hours to provide, while her mother battled health challenges, a tough single-parent fight. Yet despite the weight of their struggles, Lucy's smile was brighter than the sun. She wasn't dreaming of toys or extravagant cakes. No, Lucy had her heart set on a different kind of magic. New soccer uniforms for her school team. Each time she laced her sneakers, she imagined her friends wearing matching shirts, a symbol of camaraderie and team spirit that could uplift them all. At recess, she would close her eyes and dream big of vibrant white and blue with Maplewood emblazoned across the chest. Her classmates running together, united. As her birthday approached, Lucy's parents tried to carve out some joy amidst their financial struggles. They scraped together a modest celebration, a cake from the grocery store and balloons that would float under the low roof of their living room. Lucy, blissfully unaware of their sacrifices, twirled around the kitchen, her laughter as infectious as a summer storm. On the morning of her birthday, Lucy, bursting with enthusiasm, paraded into the local diner, where the townsfolk gathered for coffee and gossip. She slid into a booth next to her friend, Maggie, her eyes sparkling with the innocence of youth. "I just wish we could have new uniforms," she whispered earnestly, dreaming aloud. Little did she know, billionaire Mr. Hargrove, in town visiting relatives, perched in a booth close by, his ears picking up every hopeful syllable. Moved by her selflessness, Mr. Hargrove decided to fulfill the girl's wish, wanting to remain anonymous. But when whispers of his involvement began to ripple through the community, a storm brewed. The town erupted in heated discussions over social media, divided between those who saw him as a benevolent savior and those who felt he was a wealthy outsider, meddling in their lives. Lucy, unaware of the uproar, enjoyed her birthday celebration. She blew out her candles, wishing not for herself, but for unity in her town, oblivious to the murmurings of resentment surrounding her. As the gifts were unwrapped, each one exuding the love of her parents yet lacking the thrill of soccer gear, a tension simmered among the adults, pulsating through the air like a storm about to break. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the cake was served, the adults exchanged glances filled with a mixture of hope, frustration, and disappointment. Their laughter was punctuated with frowns, each one navigating a convoluted web of emotions as Lucy giggled and dug into her slice. Could her simple wish really bridge the divides in their town? As she smiled, oblivious to the chaos around her, the only thing clear was a hope that, perhaps, something beautiful might come from it all. Would her innocent dream ignite dialogue or deepen the cracks? As the lights flickered softly in the diner, the room held its breath, waiting for a spark to be kindled. Lucy's laughter echoed like music in the diner, her blissful innocence unexplainably contagious. The adults looked on, their faces a tapestry of emotions, joy tinged with doubt. Each slice of cake Lucy devoured seemed to bring them back to their wrestling realities. For a moment, the tension in the room eased as the girl's zeal filled the air, but it was quickly overshadowed by whispered opinions and skeptical glances. Just beyond the diner's crowded booth, Mr. Hargrove watched the scene unfold. His heart swelled with admiration for Lucy, but the undercurrents of resentment swirling around him weighed heavily on his conscience. He had arrived in Maplewood to spend time with family but had unintentionally stumbled upon something beautiful. He had hoped to improve lives, yet it seemed his wealth had sparked division instead. As he sipped his coffee, he felt the prickle of judgment from the locals. They muttered about the rich man who stepped in where he wasn't welcomed, their conversations thick with suspicion. Mr. Hargrove came from a world of opportunities, far removed from Lucy's corner of reality. He had been lucky, and now he wanted to change that luck for others. Was it wrong to want to help? Meanwhile, Lucy's parents stood off to the side, her mother clutching a carton of homemade cupcakes, her face a mixture of pride and worry. They had worked so hard to give Lucy this day, fully aware that it was their daughter's imagination that seemed to provide them with light during the darkest hours. The fear of community judgment crept in, a stark reminder of their financial struggle, a voice whispering that the town would not see them as equals. "Maybe it's best if we don't mention the big guy," Mrs. Thompson whispered to her husband. "What will people say? They won't see it as kindness. They'll just see money." "But Lucy dreams of it," he murmured back. "She's got hope in her heart. Shouldn't we encourage her? Even if it brings the whispers." Their bond tightened as they exchanged glances filled with understanding. They knew how society often viewed wealth, and it wouldn't be easy standing against the waves of discontent flooding their small town. As the party progressed, Lucy noticed the silence creeping into conversations, the laughter soon fading. She paused, cake midway to her mouth, looking confused as she sensed the mood shift. "What's wrong, everyone?" she asked innocently, her tone a mix of concern and sweetness. No one responded right away. The adults exchanged uneasy looks. It felt like they had entered a different world altogether, one painted with unease and skepticism. Just then, a soft knock echoed through the diner. The door swung open, and a burst of cool summer air swept in, carrying a chatter of voices. It was Mr. Hargrove's niece, Emily, who had heard about the party in town. Her eyes lit up as they landed on Lucy, her spirit reflecting an open heart. "Happy birthday, Lucy," she called out, rushing into the room. The enmity around them softened as Emily's vibrant energy filled the spaces left by doubt. "Thank you," Lucy squeaked, her eyes sparkling anew as she ran over to embrace her friend. But as the warmth returned, Mr. Hargrove felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Emily's arrival felt like a turning point. But what would he say when it was time to reveal his part? Would it bring unity or deepen the divisions further? As he prepared to join the celebration, he caught a flicker of hope in Lucy's smile, igniting a question in his heart: was it too late to make a difference? Just when he was about to step forward and connect with the group, his phone buzzed with a notification. His heart sank as he read the message. More rumors were circulating online, and this time, they were darker. Would his decision to help Lucy be the spark that ignited a bigger fire in Maplewood? The joyous laughter of children filled the diner once more, the sound a bomb that attempted to soothe the simmering tension from the adults. Lucy's face lit up with delight as she and Emily quickly fell into their own little world. The small table, decorated with colorful streamers and balloons, became a backdrop for their giggles and whispers. Mr. Hargrove stood still, torn between the happiness unfurling before him and the storm brewing outside. He took a deep breath, reminding himself of his initial intent to help. But a shadow of doubt settled over him as he glanced at the group gathered around the two girls, feeling like an imposter in a scene that should be wholly innocent. "Is it just me, or are people acting a little different?" Emily said, her words barely rising above the smiles that peppered their surroundings. She was almost too perceptive for her age. "They are probably just tired," Lucy replied, unaware of the weight of their stilted expressions. Across the room, locals whispered again, their eyes darting over to Mr. Hargrove. As if sensing their prying gazes, he felt an urge to defend his place in their community. But how? What could he say that would make him more than just a wealthy outsider? "Let us cut the cake," Mr. Thompson interrupted the simmering hesitation. He looked determined, almost desperate, as he filled his voice with warmth and excitement. Lucy's birthday cake, decorated with pink frosting and a golden number 8, was a work of art much like the girl it celebrated. As the cutting began, Mr. Hargrove finally decided to join the festivity. He approached the table, smile tinged with intent. Maybe a simple act of kindness would bridge some of the gaps. He knelt beside Lucy. "Mind if I help?" he asked, voice gentle. Surprised, Lucy beamed. Yes, please. He focused on her, wanting to show genuine interest. For a moment, it felt like they shared a small secret amidst the chaos surrounding them. He held the knife, and together they cut the first slice of cake. Make a wish, Lucy, Emily urged, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. Lucy squeezed her eyes shut, holding the edge of the plate tightly in her hands. Everyone watched, a collective breath held as she whispered her wish. Mr. Hargrove couldn't help but wonder what it could be. More friends? Better days? But as she opened her eyes and grinned, it was clear her innocence remained intact. Then the moment shifted. Just as Lucy lifted the slice to her mouth, a sudden crash sounded outside the diner. Everyone's heads snapped toward the window, the cheerful atmosphere rupturing as a group of people stood angrily, their faces distorted with resentment. A banner they carried read, "Rich man, leave our town." Mr. Hargrove's heart raced, a cold rush flooding his veins. The moment of joy evaporated, replaced by a chilling fear. What's happening? Lucy asked innocently, her expression twisting into confusion. It's okay, honey, Mrs. Thompson rushed to assure her, but the uncertainty in her voice did little to calm the disturbance brewing inside. What do we do? Mr. Hargrove whispered, his gaze darting among Lucy's parents and the other adults, all sharing a collective dread. But deep down, a steely resolve began to fortify within him. Perhaps this was a challenge he had to face, not only for his sake but for Lucy too. Lucy, he said, his voice steadying, do you think we could come together, even when things get hard? Lucy nodded, her eyes wide with trust. And in that moment, Mr. Hargrove made a silent vow not just to help but to connect, to change the narrative he had unwittingly stepped into. As the angry voices grew louder outside, he knew that the battle for acceptance was just beginning. Would he succeed in bridging the divide? Would the community see him as a friend or foe? He took a step forward, ready to confront whatever awaited him. As the echoes of Lucy's laughter faded into the distance, the loud pounding on the diner's glass doors startled everyone. The jarring noise cut through the laughter, sending a ripple of tension through the crowd. Mr. Hargrove clenched his fists at his sides, wrestling with fear and determination. He could see Lucy's little face, innocent and confused, and it drove him to take one more step forward. Honey, stay close to us, Mrs. Thompson called, her voice shaky yet filled with protective instinct. The anxiety in the room could be felt like static electricity, swirling and crackling just beneath the surface. Who are they? Lucy whispered, glancing at the shouts outside. Her big blue eyes flickered between Mr. Hargrove and her parents, searching for answers that just weren't there. Mr. Thompson stepped up, trying to shield Lucy from the unruly group. They're just upset about some things. Sweetheart, let's focus on your birthday. Cake. Remember? Lucy nodded, albeit reluctantly, but her gaze remained glued to the chaos unfolding outside. The more Mr. Hargrove observed, the more anger bubbled beneath the fear. They were just misled, he told himself. But there was a sense of responsibility rising within him. Perhaps it was time he showed them who he really was, or at least who he wanted to be. Let me talk to them, he said finally, voice calm but firm. Gasps echoed around the diner. No, it's too dangerous, Mrs. Thompson interjected, stepping forward. But Mr. Hargrove held up a hand, silencing her. I can't let them think I'm hiding, he replied, shaking his head. I just want to help. As he moved toward the entrance, time slowed. He felt the weight of eyes on him, the children watching with curiosity, the adults with skepticism, and the angry crowd outside, waiting for a confrontation. Mr. Hargrove, Emily's voice cut through, her small hands gripping the table. Be careful. He swallowed hard and took a deep breath, stepping into the chaos outside. The air felt heavy, saturated with resentment and mistrust. He could see the angry faces, men and women who had allowed bitterness to cloud their judgment. Mister, one man yelled out, gesturing to the banner. We don't want your kind here. You don't care about us. What do you know about me? He shot back, the fire in his belly rising. You don't know anything about who I am, or what I've done for this town. An uncomfortable silence filled the air. He could see doubt flicker across some of their faces, but the confrontation wasn't over. Prove it, a woman challenged, her voice sharp. I can help, he said, feeling the heat of the moment. A desire to be heard flooded through him. This isn't just a town for the wealthy. It's a community. Give me a chance to show you what I can do, what we can build together. The wind rustled, and for a brief moment, Mr. Hargrove caught a glimpse of Lucy peeking out through the diner window, her small face filled with faith in him. Suddenly, a voice rose above the others, a young man stepping forward. Why should we trust you? We've been living under the thumb of the rich for too long. Every word from the crowd pierced Mr. Hargrove like a knife, but he felt something shift inside. This was bigger than him now. This was about the town who had become courageously united against his presence. Then let us change that, he shouted, every ounce of sincerity flooding his heart. I want to understand your struggles, your fears, and together we can make this a better place for everyone. Not just for me or for you. A moment hung in the air, as the crowd wavered between anger and curiosity. Would they listen? Would they give him the chance to be a part of their lives, not just an outsider with a bank account? But just then the diner doors flung open. Lucy raced out, her little voice breaking through the tension. Wait, I made a wish. Her innocent declaration caught everyone off guard. The crowd quieted, and all eyes turned toward her. I wish everyone could just be friends, she declared, complete sincerity shining in her eyes. Mr. Hargrove's chest tightened. Could they be friends? Would her wish be the bridge that he'd been searching for? The group outside shifted uneasily, glances exchanged, unsure how to respond to a child's simple wish in the mess of their anger. The moment sang with possibility, and uncertainty hung thick in the air. Would Lucy's optimism work miracles? Or would the divide only deepen? As he looked at her hopeful face, Mr. Hargrove couldn't shake the thought, was this birthday a turning point? Or was darkness yet to come? As Lucy's heartfelt words hung in the air, a hushed stillness enveloped the crowd. For a split second, the chaos outside the diner felt like a distant storm, overshadowed by her innocence. Mr. Hargrove watched Lucy with admiration. Her small stature radiated courage amidst the turmoil. It was as if her wish pulled at the very fabric of the moment, creating a crack where hope seeped through. For a moment, Mr. Hargrove dared to believe that her simple desire could bridge the vast chasm between their worlds. The crowd, once filled with hostility, seemed briefly entranced by this childish, earnest plea. He noticed the man who had shouted just moments before, his fierce glare softening as if Lucy's words struck a chord deep within him. What do you mean, Lucy? A woman in the crowd ventured, her tone shifting from confrontational to curious. Lucy beamed, clutching her birthday cake with both hands. If we're all friends, then nobody has to be sad anymore. We can share cake and play games. She stepped forward, her tiny voice unwavering, and there would be enough room for everyone to come together. Mr. Hargrove felt his heart swell as he watched Lucy hope for something so pure, so simple. It struck him that maybe, just maybe, they were all longing for the same thing, a sense of belonging. He glanced at the bystanders, searching their faces for signs of agreement, recognition. Could her words shift their perspective? The young man who had accused him of being a faceless elite stepped closer, arms crossed, but now there was curiosity behind his eyes. How can you just wish for friendship? I mean, it's not that easy. There was some hesitation in his voice, as if he secretly wished it could be true. It can be easy, Lucy insisted, undeterred. If we want it to be, then we have to start talking to each other, like Mr. Hargrove said. It's all about trying, right? She nodded vigorously, her hair bouncing with enthusiasm. Behind her, Mr. Hargrove found his footing. Lucy's right, he interjected, his voice carrying a resonance of urgency. We can't change what has happened, but we can choose how we move forward. I'll commit to making this town better, but I need your voices. I can't do it alone. His heart raced, certain this was the moment where walls could come down. The past few months had been isolating. He had felt like a ghost in a place meant to call him home. Looking at the townspeople, he realized they were more than just a reaction to him. They were living, breathing individuals, each with stories and struggles worth hearing. Not every rich person is out to hurt you, he continued, his voice steady. I understand you're angry, but anger keeps us apart. What I'm asking is for a chance, for dialogue. Let us carve out a future that includes everyone. The weary faces began to soften, curiosity sprinkled with caution. Few murmured among themselves, exchanging glances, searching for a glimmer of reason in the heat of their emotions. Lucy stepped toward Mr. Hargrove, reaching for his hand. If everyone tried to be nice, wouldn't that be fun? She grinned, her innocence disarming the tension that had built not only outside but within him as well. Mr. Hargrove squeezed her hand gently, a symbol of connection. Around them, breaths caught in throats, the moment teetering on the edge of transformation. Just then, a voice rose from the back, a woman with hopeful eyes. It's worth a try, I senti it? The atmosphere shifted palpably. Hesitation battled with newfound hope, as nods collectively rippled through the crowd. Could they dare to move towards a shared vision, one not dictated by fear? But even amidst this fragile peace, the weight of lingering doubts and old wounds remained. Would the promise of unity prevail, or would old grudges drag them back? The answer lay within the choices they would make next. Uncertainty loomed like clouds on the horizon, yet a flicker of faith shone through the gaps. Mr. Hargrove and Lucy exchanged a look, their connection fortified. Let us take a step together, he whispered, feeling the weight of possibility swell within him. And just then, he realized the question wouldn't just be about them. Would the town dare to embrace the possibility of change, or would they retreat into silence once again? As the day wore on, the diner's future and the fight for their shared unity hung delicately in the balance, waiting to be forged into something tangible. Mr. Hargrove's heart thundered in his chest. The crowd's nods tied together like fraying threads of a tapestry. Each agreement was a stitch, pulling them closer together. He felt the weight of Lucy's innocence beside him, her small hand warm and reassuring in his. The air carried a spark, crackling with potential. Yeah, someone from the back shouted, spontaneous excitement flaring. Let us do it. Mr. Hargrove turned to see who spoke, catching sight of an older man with a scruffy beard. His eyes glimmered with a flicker of hope that had been missing just moments before. That lit spark made its way through the crowd, sparking murmurs of agreement and tentative smiles. Lucy, the man called, his voice booming with humor. You're a genius with this party idea. What kind of games do you have in mind? All eyes shifted to Lucy, whose face lit up as she realized she had everyone's attention. We could do musical chairs, she exclaimed, then giggled. Or hide and seek. But I think we need more cake for that. Her laughter was infectious, causing some to chuckle, easing the tension that had threatened to suffocate them. The young man with crossed arms watched her closely, a slight grin breaking his guarded exterior. Okay, I'm in. But we need food. Proper food. No offense, but cake alone won't cut it. I'll sponsor it, Mr. Hargrove declared, his voice steady and firm. There will be barbecue, desserts, whatever you want. But you all need to bring your voices and your ideas, too. He could feel Lucy's joy radiating beside him, bursting forth like sunshine breaking through cloudy skies. The crowd began to buzz with excitement, exchanging ideas and laughter. And for the first time in months, a collective energy filled the atmosphere, a genuine, shared feeling of connection. Mr. Hargrove could see the worn faces in the crowd soften, wrinkles of worry smoothing over as they engaged with one another. What if we make it a potluck? Someone suggested. Everybody brings a dish, and we can eat together. Yes. Another cheered. I'll bring my famous chili. As thoughts of a potential gathering emerged, Mr. Hargrove realized the enormity of what was unfolding. It wasn't just an innocent birthday wish anymore. It had transformed into a call for community. They were no longer divided by their past grievances but united by the potential of creating something beautiful together. Yet, beneath the surface of festivity, he sensed the undercurrents of doubt still looming. This newfound spirit of cooperation was fragile, perched precariously on the precarious edge of hope. Would they genuinely move forward together? Could this connection erase the bitterness that had held them captive? As Lucy's bright laughter filtered through the air, Mr. Hargrove pondered these questions, feeling the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. He glanced at Lucy, her innocent hope shining like a beacon of light in his heart. Their gathering could become a turning point for the town, or it could collapse under the burden of unresolved pain and suspicion. Are we ready for this? He thought as his gaze swept over the crowd, gauging their reactions. They had taken the first step into the light, but the path ahead was still wrought with shadows of uncertainty. Let us set a date. Lucy squealed, her infectious gleaming eyes sparking laughter once more. The crowd erupted again, exchanging dates and ideas as they buzzed with energy. Yet deep down, Mr. Hargrove couldn't shake the lingering doubts. As excitement swirled around him, he felt a tug of trepidation. What if not everyone was on board? What if not everyone wanted what he and Lucy envisioned? As the laughter echoed and thoughts collided, one question tugged at his heart. Would the sweetness of Lucy's innocent wish be enough to conquer the bitterness that had taken root in their town? He took a deep breath, ready for the challenge. We'll find out soon enough, he murmured, and in that moment, he caught the shimmering gaze of the man who had once shouted against him, realizing change always begins with those brave enough to dream. But in a town, woven with so many stories, would they collectively dare to dream a new one together? The next morning, the sun broke through the clouds, casting warm golden rays on the sleepy town. For the first time in months, a sense of anticipation filled the air, wrapping around Mr. Hargrove like a comforting blanket. He stood by his kitchen window with a steaming cup of coffee in hand, reflecting on the previous day's events. Lucy's laughter echoed in his mind, a melody that chased away his doubts, if only for a moment. As he sipped his coffee, Mr. Hargrove recalled the expressions of his neighbors. Skepticism had melted into curiosity, and curiosity had turned into something more hope. The people were feeling it. He could sense the shift, a shared longing for change. Yet he knew they needed more than just a party to bridge the divide. That afternoon, Mr. Hargrove decided to pay a visit to the town hall. It was time to reach out, to solidify the plans that were percolating in his mind. He stepped outside. The crisp air swirled around him, invigorating and filled with purpose. As he walked through the streets, he noticed more smiles than usual. People paused, exchanged greetings, and nodded in recognition. Their hearts seemed more open, more willing to reconnect. When he reached the town hall, he was greeted by the familiar sight of his colleagues, some in heated discussion, others scribbling on notepads. He took a moment to gather his thoughts before strolling into the midst of the chatter. "Hey everyone, we have an opportunity here," he declared, drawing their attention. "We're going to throw a community party. Potluck. A chance for everyone to come together, meet one another, and share in some good food and fun." The initial reaction was a mix of surprise and intrigue. Murmurs flared up. "Is that really going to work?" A woman asked, her brow furrowed with skepticism. "Potlucks can be a mess," another chimed in. But Mr. Hargrove could see the flames of curiosity igniting, worries giving way to possibility. "Lucy had this wonderful idea, and I truly believe it can change the course of our town," he pressed, his voice steady with conviction. A few faces softened, their skepticism wavering. "I mean, what do we have to lose?" One man spoke up, his expression thoughtful. "Could be fun." "Exactly," Mr. Hargrove replied, enthusiasm bubbling within him. "Let us make it an event to remember. We can coordinate games, activities. Let us showcase local talent. This could remind us why we loved living here in the first place." Slowly, the energy in the room shifted. They began brainstorming ideas, the tension lifting as they bounced creative thoughts off one another. Laughter erupted as they recalled amusing anecdotes from past gatherings, as if the act of remembering had unlocked a door to a shared history. Later, as Mr. Hargrove made his way back home, he felt buoyed by the day's progress. But he still felt the weight of doubt creeping in again. What if the day of the party came, and the pain resurfaced, overshadowing their newfound connection? What if Lucy's dream of togetherness collapsed under the weight of long-held grievances? That night, lulled into a restless sleep, he couldn't shake the thought. The potential for healing was palpable, but so were the fears. As he tossed and turned, he felt a sense of urgency build. They were moving toward something greater, but they needed to confront their past. The town had stories buried deep, and they needed to unearth them to truly heal. Maybe we should have a part of the celebration dedicated to sharing our stories, he pondered aloud, the idea sparking even as he spoke it. What if we encouraged people to open up? But what he didn't anticipate was how understanding the scars of their past might lead to something far more profound than a celebratory gathering. The following morning, Mr. Hargrove awoke with a sense of purpose prickling at the back of his mind. The dawn light slipped through his window, casting gentle patterns across the room. Today wasn't just another day. It was the day they would begin to create something beautiful, something transformative. After a quick breakfast, he shuffled through his notes, still buzzing with ideas for the potluck. His heart raced at the thought of the stories that would be shared, the laughter that would fill the air, and how it all could mend the frayed connections among the residents. As he stepped outside, the world felt anew. The streets were alive with chatter. Neighbors were already beginning to gather, some tending to their gardens, others walking their dogs. Children laughed in their yards, the sound carefree and infectious. As he waved and greeted familiar faces, he was struck by how these small interactions held the power to shift their collective energy. Once again, he headed to the town hall, more determined than ever. Today was crucial. They needed to organize and prepare for the potluck. He arrived to find excited chatter and the murmur of ideas bouncing around the room. The group had come alive, and he couldn't help but smile at the enthusiasm bubbling before him. "All right, let us make this happen," he called out, clapping his hands to gather attention. "We need volunteers for setup, food contributors, and ideas for activities. I think we should set up a space for people to share their stories. Maybe a story corner where anyone can come and speak." A silence fell for a moment. Then, someone from the back, a quieter member of the group named Ada, spoke up. People might not feel comfortable sharing their pasts in front of others. Her voice was soft, yet held weight. Mr. Hargrove could feel the tension in the room shift, uncertainty creeping back in. He understood the hesitation. True, but healing begins when we confront our pain together. We can make it clear that it's voluntary, just a space for those who wish to share. Heads nodded, and the room was suddenly alive again, this time in earnest chatter about how to create a supportive environment. The energy shifted from apprehension to collaboration. They began to craft ideas for not only the story corner but also games and other activities. Laughter flew across as they reminisced about their favorite childhood pastimes. However, as he leaned into this momentum, an unexpected wave of anxiety surged through him. What if the sharing turned into something dark? What if old grievances festered instead of healing? On his way home, those thoughts played like a loop in his mind. The idea of revisiting wounds was daunting, but Mr. Hargrove knew it was a necessary step. He'd seen how deeply buried pains could surface at the most unexpected times. Later that evening, as he gazed at the night sky, a brilliant full moon smiled down on him, and curiosity stirred again. What stories lay beyond the surface? What hurt had been hidden? The fears and sadness, even joy they held could set them free. Back in his living room, he jotted down thoughts about creating a safe space for expression. Maybe he could share his own story first, an invitation for others to follow. The weight of his own past sat heavy on his heart, yet a tiny flicker of hope pulsed within. This potluck could be a new beginning, a chance for everyone to reconnect with parts of themselves they had shielded away. What Mr. Hargrove didn't know was how one simple story could unravel everything, and the truth of one neighbor's past would shatter expectations more than anyone could be anticipated. The next morning dawned bright and clear, an invitation for possibilities. Mr. Hargrove rose with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Today was the day. He felt the weight of anticipation in the air, almost electric as he moved through his morning routine. As he arrived at the town hall, a flurry of energy enveloped him. Volunteers busied themselves with decorations, their laughter echoing off the walls. Mr. Hargrove stepped into the room, keen to immerse himself in the bubbling atmosphere. He surveyed the tables, adorned with colorful tablecloths and vibrant flowers, all set to host the neighborhood's reunion. "Hey, Mr. Hargrove," called out Jacob, a young man known for his culinary skills. "I brought the chili. It's a special recipe from my grandma." "That sounds amazing, Jacob. You know how to please a crowd," Mr. Hargrove replied, ruffling the young man's hair. That simple interaction lit up Jacob's face, and both felt the warmth of shared camaraderie. As people trickled in, the hall began to fill with familiar voices. They joked about old times, about missing pies and birthday party games. But beneath the laughter, Mr. Hargrove could sense a thread of trepidation. Not everyone was as well connected as they seemed. He set up the story corner in a cozy nook with cushions scattered around a low table, inviting and intimate. Oddly, it reminded him of when he'd sit in a circle of friends, sharing secrets on summer evenings. Would this corner become a space of solace, or a place where their wounds would be reopened? Mid-afternoon, Mr. Hargrove took a deep breath and approached the microphone. "Thank you all for coming together today," he began, his voice steady but laced with vulnerability. "This is more than just a potluck. It's an opportunity to share ourselves, our stories. I believe these connections can help us heal." There was a gentle ripple of understanding near the back. He recognized Ada's familiar gaze, filled with both concern and hope. Maybe she understood the gravity of what he was proposing. He watched as the crowd slowly settled, eyes shifting toward the story corner. "I want to go first," he said, surprising even himself. If he could share his own story, perhaps others would find the courage to follow suit. Taking a moment to gather his thoughts, he shared a piece of his past. "When I was younger, I lost someone very dear to me. I struggled for years to find the light again. But when I finally spoke about it, I didn't just unload the pain. I found strength I didn't know I had." Tears stung at his eyes as he looked at the faces before him. Some nodded, others were visibly moved. The silence that followed was palpable, an acknowledgement of shared experience, a communal breath of relief. Ada stood. "I have never told anyone this," her voice wavered, a fragile thread but full of courage. The room held its breath. With every word, Ada began to unravel a story that had long been buried, one that echoed Mr. Hargrove's experiences, not fully alike, but painfully relatable. She spoke of struggles that felt isolating and burdens that weighed down her spirit. It was raw and authentic, and he could feel the air thickening with emotion. As she concluded, the crowd erupted into applause. It wasn't just a gesture of appreciation. It was a release of something deeper. Mr. Hargrove felt hope bloom in the air, just as a timid flower pushes through the winter frost. What he hadn't foreseen was the floodgate had opened. One after another, neighbors began to rise, sharing their own stories of loss, love, and healing. The lines between past and present blurred, as revelations spilled forth like a wellspring. But in the back of his mind, something nagged at him. The stories flowed freely, but what would happen when the unspoken words surfaced, the ones that might tear them apart instead? As the sun began to dip low, casting long shadows across the room, Mr. Hargrove could sense an underlying tension brewing beneath the surface, a feeling that perhaps not all shadows were ready to be unveiled just yet. Would this potluck truly bring them together, or would the truths they unearthed ignite old rivalries? The moment of reckoning seemed closer than ever. As the sun set, casting a warm, orange glow through the windows, Mr. Hargrove felt an electric current of connection in the room. Laughter, stories, and a shared sense of vulnerability filled the air, weaving between neighbors who had once felt like strangers. Yet, beneath this renewed hope, there lay a whisper of unease and unspoken fear of what might come next. From the back of the room, a familiar face emerged. It was Jake, a quiet but seasoned member of the town, known for his tough exterior. As he approached the story corner, a hush fell upon the crowd, anticipation mixed with caution. This was a man who had fought battles, both in life and in the community, and now they all seemed to hold their breath, waiting for what he might say. "I don't have a fancy story," Jake began, his voice gravelly but steady. "But I've lived through some things some of you know, some of you don't." He looked directly at Mr. Hargrove, his eyes reflective and sharp. "You came here with all your money and intentions, but do you understand where you've stepped into?" Tension rippled through the room. Mr. Hargrove nodded, ready to listen, ready to face whatever he needed to. "I lost a home, this home, because people like you didn't take care." Jake's voice grew louder, holding the intensity of a long-suppressed rage. "You throw money, but it don't fix the heartache. I've seen it drive a wedge in our community, not pull it together. You think a party will change the past?" Gasps echoed. Many felt the weight of truth in his words. Mr. Hargrove's heart sank, but beneath the despair, a determination ignited within. "I understand your pain, Jake, and I'm sorry," he said, voice calm but firm. "I can't change what has happened, but I want to listen. I want to be a part of healing, not hurt." But Jake wasn't finished. "Healing doesn't come easy, and some of us aren't ready to forgive. You think we can just share pie and play games, and it'll fix everything? We need more than fun. We need change." A murmur of agreement swept through the crowd. Mr. Hargrove understood the call for deeper action now. This wasn't just about a potluck. It was about creating a space for genuine dialogue, for empowering one another to share, not just their stories, but their voices in shaping their community's future. "Let us do more than just today," Mr. Hargrove exclaimed, feeling urgency ignite within him. "Let us make a commitment to listen, to create an ongoing platform for everyone to share their thoughts. I'll help facilitate it. This doesn't have to be a one-time thing." Jake's expression softened slightly, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. "You're going to need to really mean that. Can't be just another project for you. It must come from your heart." "It will come from my heart," Mr. Hargrove replied, holding Jake's gaze. "And I will put in the work, listen to the struggles, the hopes, and the dreams of everyone in this town. I don't doubt it's going to take time, but I'm willing to give my efforts without expecting anything in return." As silence enveloped the room, a wave of realization washed over the gathered townspeople. Here was not just a man from the outside. He was offering a chance for real dialogue, for accountability. Slowly, more people rose to speak, not just about grievances but about ideas for the future they could create together. Lucia's bright, innocent spirit shone through the murky tension, and she stood up beside Mr. Hargrove again. "But we can share more cake, right?" she piped up, hoping to diffuse the tension with her joyful exuberance. Laughter broke the surface, lifting spirits. And as people chuckled, they began to feel the increase in warmth, a connection blossoming despite the cracks that remained. A sense of determination filled the small room. They were beginning to share their pain and hope intertwined. The gathering transformed into a turning point. As they shared dreams for their community, Mr. Hargrove could sense the slow shattering of walls that had once divided them. Conversations deepened into plans: a community garden, a mentorship program, and open forums for ongoing discussions. As the night wore on, old tensions began to dissolve into mutual respect. The crowd, once a sea of strangers, became a gathering of allies seeking common ground, each one holding onto their unique stories, weaving them into a collective tapestry of strength. "Together, we can make that change," Mr. Hargrove concluded, his spirit buoyed by what had taken shape, not just from his intentions but from the collaboration of every individual present. This potluck had exceeded his expectations, illuminating pathways forward. As they cleaned up and prepared to part ways, Jake approached him, a newfound respect glimmering in his eyes. "You really mean it then? About listening and fighting for us?" "I do," Mr. Hargrove replied, a weight lifting from his shoulders. "One cake at a time, I promise." In that moment, unity struck its first chords in Maplewood, a melody of hope ringing out in the crisp night air. Mr. Hargrove felt gratitude bloom within him, the power of dreams merging with reality as they walked towards a brighter, shared future. This was only the beginning, a tough road ahead, but one now rich with possibility. Now, if you felt inspired by this story, it's time to take action. You need to subscribe now for more heartwarming tales that touch on what truly matters. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm and spread the love. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this uplifting ending. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. And don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation and join us on this journey to reconnect. Your support makes all the difference.